Mathematician Jean Le Rode de Berry once said, "Algebra is generous. She often gets more than is asked from her." I'm here to teach you how to solve basic algebra problems because I enjoy algebra. Algebra is very important because it serves as a foundation for learning more advanced mathematics as well as other subjects. I first learned algebra when I was in junior high and continued into high school, including being in a college algebra course. Algebra has been very important to me because it taught me how to solve more advanced mathematics and propelled me into learning other subjects like chemistry and mathematics. I will teach you how to solve linear equations and how to solve quadratic equations through factoring in the quadratic formula. First, I'll teach you how to solve linear equations. Linear equations are equations that have at least one variable in them, and when graphed, produce a straight line. Linear equations are very simple to solve, and it can act as a starting point for solving more complex problems. For example, let's use the equation 2x plus 3 equals 5. In order to solve it, you first need to have a variable on this side, or on one side, and a non-variable on the other. To do this, you first subtract both sides by 3, leaving you 2x equals 2. You then eliminate the number in front of the variable. To do this, you divide both sides by 2. Then it leaves you the answer x equals 1. We now move on to quadratic equations, which are more complicated than linear equations. Quadratic equations are equations that have at least one variable that is squared, and when graphed, produce a parabola. Quadratic equations are more complicated than linear equations, requiring different means of solving, typically through factoring. When factored, quadratic equations break down into two separate linear equations. For example, let's use the equation x squared plus 3x plus 4 equals 2. To solve this, you need to set it equal to 0. To do this, you subtract both sides by 2. This leaves you x squared plus 3x plus 2 equals 0. To factor it, you produce a diagram like this. You put on top the squared variable and the non-variable, and on the bottom you put the single variable. You then separate the squared variable and the non-variable into multiple components. For example, x times x would equal x squared, and 2 times 1 would equal 2. You then cross-multiply these. For example, 2 times x would equal 2x, and x times 1 would equal x. You then add these together to get the bottom, to get the single variable. Through factoring, we get x plus 2 times x plus 1 equals 0. And you then set each one equal to 0 as a linear equation. After solving them, you get the answers x equals -1 and -2. When factoring is not enough to solve a quadratic equation, use the quadratic formula. The quadratic formula is this: x equals -b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c, and all divided by 2 times a. A, b, and c are coefficients for a squared plus bx plus c. For example, let's use the equation 3x squared plus 7x minus 11 equals 0. You simply plug the coefficients into the quadratic formula. This gives you x equals -7 plus or minus the square root of 7 squared minus 4 times 3 times -11, and all divided by 2 times 3. This gives you the answer x equals -7 plus or minus the square root of 181, and all divided by 6, which gives you the answers approximately 1.076 and -3.409. This gives you a rough outlook of how to solve basic algebra problems. I just taught you how to solve basic algebra problems, including solving linear equations and and how to solve quadratic equations through factoring the quadratic formula. Remember, solving basic algebra problems is very important because it acts as a foundation for solving more complicated math problems, as well as solving other subjects. Thank you for your time, and good luck to you all.